Despite all the ways we can communicate and meet people online these days, plenty of gamers still get lonely. And it can be pretty tough as well when it seems like the people around you just aren't as interested in video games as you are. Well, now there's an app for that.
A few days ago, a thread popped up on Reddit that really seemed to capture the interest of a pretty big number of gamers. It was a thread about Nubbl, a free new web app created by a software designer who quit his job to make it happen. It's designed to help gamers find people nearby who play and enjoy the same games on the same platforms. The service is live now and you can register and share where in the world you are, what games you like to play and on what platforms. And you can search through the database of users who you can just play some games with. Nubbl's core premise is that finding randoms online isn't quite enough, with forums and multiplayer games not answering simple questions like, are they looking for new friends? Or do they have anything except games in common? Or do they live nearby?
Sharing his creation on Reddit a few days ago, software developer Joe Lynch's post about his site has some 11,000 upvotes and almost 600 comments. He's also been flooded with messages and feedback. Since that thread took off, Nubbl.com, which is currently in early release and beta form, shot up from just under 600 registered users to 6,000 in just 19 hours. Writing on Reddit, Joe said, "It's my hope that this will help some people out. It should also be a boon for anyone who plays niche games that don't have online support, and there are even features to help anyone who wants to get started making an indie game." Joe Lynch pointed out that as much as he loves online games, they mostly aren't designed to actually make new friends. You get paired with randoms, he says, and when the round is over, you'll never see them again. You can add them to your friends list, but there's a good chance you'll have little to say to one another.
Joe says the problem is worse with tabletop gaming if players lack the confidence to seek out and approach others to play with. The service is not only open to people who feel a bit lonely, but also to anyone open to, in Joe's words, being a friend to someone in a tough spot, which is lovely. A Reddit post in r/gamedev helped attract about 250 signups before Nubbl went out to open beta on March the 13th. He expects to be working on it for the next couple of years.
This immediately caught our attention when we saw it on Reddit, firstly because of how popular it was. It had like 11,000 votes or whatever, but it's a really nice idea, isn't it? It's just if you're lonely and you're kind of maybe in a kind of isolated situation or something and you want to make friends, it is pretty difficult, now that he's pointed it out, to actually make a connection with someone that you'll stay actual friends with. Yeah, it's easy to bump into people and talk to randoms and stuff in forums and stuff like that and play games with people, but it's maybe not so easy to get to know them and really become friends with them, because that information that you need just isn't there on the surface. You've got to first shoot them in the face or first have an argument with them in a forum thread or something before you start to find out more who they are, and you do that by asking them. And so I think it's a great idea. It's been received so positively that clearly there is a demand for this kind of thing.
Joe Lynch, who's 28 years old, of Canada but temporarily settled in the Netherlands, says his own personal history with loneliness inspired him to make the site. He says he played countless hours of video games and was horribly depressed and lonely as a kid. Those, he said, were the hardest years of his life, and he wanted nothing more than to make new friends who played the same games he did. Lynch actually quit his job as a software developer to make something for the next person who faces the same challenges that he did.
Now, we contacted Joe Lynch shortly after the Reddit thread took off late last week. He told us growing up in a rural area without a car pushed him to be more and more introverted, while he started playing PC games even more. He was a particularly big fan of LucasArts point-and-click games before moving on to the likes of Half-Life and Counter-Strike, as well as World of Warcraft, which he says back in the day was actually brilliant for community interaction. These days, he says he has gotten a lot better at social interaction and forces himself to get out there. Speaking to us on Discord, he said, "Right now is a great time to be a gamer. There's so many services and so many different social networks and ways to connect with people. It's absolutely amazing. All these platforms serve really well for communities, but the initial discovery of people is where I've always found it to be lacking. Nubbl was my way to solve that problem, making it easier to make that initial connection with people. Once you've found someone on Nubbl, by all means, use something like Discord, Facebook, Steam, PlayStation Network, whatever you want. By no means do I want to replace those things."
The aim short term is to focus on specific towns or regions because an area with a high density of users will make the app more useful. Joe says he has met people using the app himself already, albeit perhaps a bit unconventionally since he's the actual creator. And as for the name, Nubbl, Joe acknowledges it's a bit different, but says any URL with the word gaming or somewhat related to the word gaming is already parked. He says he wrote down a list of the top 50 websites for traffic, looked at their names and wrote down a list of similar names that might fit his service. That way he stumbled on the word Nubbl, which is derived from noob, which becomes nub, which becomes nubblet.
Nubbl, Nubbl.com. I mean, why not?
Stands out.
Why not?
It stands out. No one wants to be a noob or nubblet.
It works, man. So that's the app, and that's who the creator is. So he's come from a place of his own personal experience, his own kind of loneliness, living in a rural area, literally isolated from other people. He found it difficult to get into town to do whatever, and then when you've got a hobby like PC gaming, he says it's not the type of thing. That's something he told me on the Discord, that it's something that you don't often bring up. Just that, hey, I'm into PC gaming. Like, it's not, you just don't declare it. I guess you don't assume that everyone's interested in the same things you are. So there you go. If you're feeling like you're a little bit lonely and you want to meet somebody to play games with, that's what it is. It's essentially like you're looking for a group, LFG or whatever service, where you just kind of, there's no function in the game, so you're going outside of the game to find someone to play with. But in this case, it's to play games with them and to just become friends with them, to have someone to talk to and add to your friends list if it's looking a bit dry. So there you go. It's Nubbl.com. This was not sponsored or anything. It's just a free service, and we just liked it, and it was on Reddit and really took off. So there you go, Nubbl.com.
Well, they do say that necessity is the mother of invention. Isn't that right, Mike? So this guy obviously saw that there was it was necessary to make this, because he went through this as a kid. It's one of those disciplines like gaming. You can spend a lot of time on your own, where you don't really spend enough time outside talking to people, getting involved in communities, socialising, all that kind of thing. And this is a great way to do that. And obviously, people in Reddit have picked it up and seen that this is something that connects with them as well, with over 11,000 people now voting it. I mean, this is obviously in its infancy. You don't know where it's going to go, but you can see this kind of service developing into something bigger, right? People connecting with other people in your local communities or wherever, even further afield if you want, getting involved with gaming. I think this is great for an industry which is exploding at the moment. You can see year after year the figures are getting bigger in the gaming industry. What we don't want to see is more and more people getting isolated in their own homes playing games. You want to see more community focused things happening. This is a great new app out there for doing that and for servicing this industry into the future.
So there you go, that's Nubbl.com. Let us know if you're interested in this, if this is the kind of thing that you've been looking for a while. Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There should be another video right there which you can watch right now if you want, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.